Malam Chimbong Abjad Pakartang on Santujan Madotumba Tubjijan La Pikian Sar Terukandangumbo Jambrian, Rigido Bertumni Rogan La Janchip Jubalams on Sanzaba, Jeti Shiva Hala Shagan Sarlo, Dojinam Yetobe, Hije, Dobanians and Chawakan Jenny, Ranjan Tony Lenjan Rabada, Janchus and John Shinji. Oh. Good morning to everyone. From here, where I live. Otherwise, I don't know. And nice to see all of you again. And teaching today, I'm going to pick up where I left our last class. Same teaching, same topic today, but before the teaching again, it is important to have a Mahāyāna motivation and attitude, as you know, which is generating some kind of love and compassion, bodhicitta, towards all sentient beings. So please take a moment and examine your mind. It is always important to look at your thoughts and correct your motivation. We should always remember this. The quality of any action is determined by the motivation behind that action, okay? That's why, very important. So we must be as aware as possible. Otherwise, the dualistic mind is extremely selfish. Now, traditionally, as I mentioned this last time, my teacher always recited the summary of the entire text before he started the teachings. So I would like to do the same way as my teacher, so that all the time the teacher recite this summary of the importance of this text, you will learn, you will memorize, so that kind of you have the whole picture of this teaching in your mind all the time. So that's why there are different commentaries from different masters of the way of Bodhisattva. Some are from India, some are from Tibet. Those masters, they explain the summary of this entire teaching, the way of Bodhisattva, is different. Teachers give instructions different from each other, but the very common, very, I would say, very profound, the instruction the summary of this teaching, usually we use Patur Rinpoche. Patur Rinpoche summarized the entire text into 4 parts, which is based on a Bodhicitta aspiration prayer by Shantideva. We always, may Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen, where it has arisen, made it never went, but continue to grow forevermore. Three chapters of this, the way of Bodhisattva, that give rise the precious Bodhicitta where it has not yet arisen. 3 chapters that prevent the decrease of the precious Bodhicitta where it has arisen, right? Then 3 chapters that not only prevent the decrease of the precious Bodhicitta, but 3 chapters cause it to increase Bodhicitta more and more. And then the last chapter, which dedicates all the virtues that has been accumulated through the practice of text for happiness and benefit of others. This has the way of Bodhisattva has 10 chapters, right? A very common one. Now, otherwise, there are different commentaries that the translators, there are 3 times they translated the way of Bodhisattva from Pali and Sanskrit into Tibet. So there are different ways to translate it, but in common and very, we usually have right now, the way of Bodhisattva has this 10 chapters, okay? So that's, you see, this entire teaching is about how to generate bodhicitta, how to prevent the decrease of bodhicitta, how to increase and develop bodhicitta. So again, the first chapter of the Way of Bodhisattva explains the benefits of bodhicitta, awakening mind. The second chapter teaches that we should purify, we should confess our negative karmas so that bodhicitta will naturally arise once we purified negative karma, create, because of the selfishness. That's second chapter. Then the third chapter is called the full acceptance of the awakening mind, or fully adopting bodhicitta. That means at this point, we can take the bodhisattva vows to give rise to, the awakening mind, bodhicitta. So 3 chapters, okay? What we have described so far is the benefit of bodhicitta, which is very, very important to understand. Each stanza that explains the precious mind, this awakened mind, and benefit. So basically, this entire teaching, as I said, is about generate bodhicitta. So as you know, bodhicitta is an experience of awakening. That's it, awakening mind. So any of you really, really want to practice bodhicitta, develop it, this awakening your mind, then this teaching is perfect. You need to learn this teaching. You need to practice this teaching. Because practicing this teaching really deals with directly with your mind. And it brings a simple awareness. And appreciation. And once you have developed awakening mind, then it's extremely important to make it increase and grow even stronger. So the first thing, in order to enhance your bodhicitta, is you need to remember, as I said, the benefits of it. Therefore, what we have discussed so far is the benefits of bodhicitta, right? Which is the first chapter of the way of bodhisattva. Now I'm going to pick up where I left off last class. Remember, Shantideva explains bodhicitta, the awakening mind, through 5 different examples, right? And we have already talked about 2 of them. I hope you remember them. I'm not going to repeat them again. And if you don't remember, we have video, we have text, the commentaries, root text, you can read them again. So today is the 3rd example, which is bodhicitta is like a wish fulfillment tree. It means through bodhicitta, all the virtues that we accumulated will increase in like a wish fulfillment tree. So the root text, the stanza today, Geva Yankin Chushang Yundan, Ndiwich in the Sapranjura, Yet Yanch of Simji Jongshan Takuri, and doing Jimby moves and parangers. All other virtues are like planting trees. They produce, I'm reading the root text, they produce their fruit, but then their force is exhausted. But the marvelous tree of bodhicitta constantly gives fruit and increase unceasingly. That's the root text. Shantideva says here, all other virtues of whatever we accumulated, and as many as they may be, if they are not based upon bodhicitta. That means, right? That means based on selfish mind, right? Then no matter, whatever we accumulate, the virtues are like plantain tree, which die once their fruit has ripened, and then will not give fruit again any further, just once. So it means if we don't have bodhicitta, then it doesn't matter how much, basically, the Shantideva said that, it doesn't matter if you don't have bodhicitta mind, how much we practice, other things. That means it will not be so beneficial. But whatever we do that is sort of combined with bodhicitta is like the wish fulfillment tree, the noble tree, the wish fulfillment tree, right? Panorama trees, the wish fulfillment, the fruit will continue to increase, right? One after another. So kind of limitless, So bodhicitta, if we do everything based on bodhicitta, so think about this example. So bodhicitta doesn't give fruit just once, but until Buddhahood is reached, it increases. So in this third sort of knowledge that Shantideva gives here, bodhicitta is compared to the plantain trees, or Indian people say kela trees. Kela is it's a banana trees, right? Which produce fruit only once. When the fruit ripens, the tree gives nothing more, but dies right there. So this is, how do I say, comparable to virtue that has been accumulated without the thought of both the benefiting all beings, without the motivation of bodhicitta. On the other hand, the virtues that practiced, whatever that has been accumulated out of bodhicitta, out of the love and compassion, awakened mind, will increase constantly until we have attained the Buddhahood. That means like you always do things based on bodhicitta, then increase means like your mind increase, nothing else, but increase your mind. As long as you remember bodhicitta, no matter what you do, then you kind of maintain, right? You can sort of increase that awakening mind. That gives you more and more capacity until reach enlightenment. So that means the virtue, that you accumulated is never wasted. And without sort of end, means like increase, because you just keep continue, right? So bodhicitta allows all our actions to become beneficial. the cause of enlightenment and the cause of happiness for ourselves, for others. So to make things as easy as possible to understand, we can summarize all the Buddhist teachings in a single phrase. It is bodhicitta. Okay? How simple is that? Bhakti Rinpoche said that if we, and the words of my perfect teacher, I think, if we recite the, for example, bodhisattva mantra once with the motivation of bodhicitta, we get the same benefit as we do from reciting 1,000 mantra without bodhicitta. Do you understand? Therefore, the amount of purification we get from a bodhisattva mantra does not depend upon how many mantras we recite, right? But on their quality, how you recite, with the visualization, based on this motivation. I mean, we usually, when you practice preliminaries, you do 100,000 times. Of course, the number has power, but the quality of our recitation is much more important. The quality here means based on bodhicitta. So even if we recite just one bodhisattva mantra, how much negative karma gets purified depends on how we recite it. So, I hope you understand how important it is. So from now until the heart of enlightenment, we as Mahāyāna practitioners should not separate from bodhicitta. And if you investigate to find the best method for overcoming suffering of yourself and others, it comes down to bodhicitta alone. I mean, Buddha himself said that. So if you want to have a very meaningful life and very happy life, practice bodhicitta. If you want to be in harmony with others, want to help them, practice bodhicitta. If you want to reduce selfishness, arrogance, practice bodhicitta. If you want to become fearless and never discouraged, then practice bodhicitta. Remember, Shangchip Simpa, in fearless. If you practice bodhicitta, if you rely on Mahāyāna bodhicitta, it makes your speech and mind, how do I say, pure, beneficial. and what kind of circumstance you're in. Never, ever give up bodhicitta. So think of this. We have this precious human life of freedom, and we have sort of meet these precious Dharma teachings. That is very good fortune. Yet, if we don't generate bodhicitta, when we have all these, how do I say, great opportunities, what greater misfortune than that could there be? So try to remember bodhicitta at all times, basically. And especially for those who are very busy, right? Who don't have much time for like this sitting meditation. You just need to remember it, right? Whatever you do, you just remember bodhicitta and try to do something sort of when you remember bodhicitta, then try to something beneficial every day to yourself, to others, if you can. My teacher always said that whatever work you sort of engage in, you should do it with bodhicitta. Maybe you don't have a genuine bodhicitta, but that's fine. If you do that, then it would be very meaningful, whatever you do in your life. If you wonder, when will I be able to remove the sufferings? Or if when will I be able to reach the path of Mahāyāna? Right? We always think those things. How can I help? When will I be able to help myself? Meaning to have a gentle mind and compassion, loving mind, compassionate mind. Or when will I be able to, how do I know that I'm on the Mahāyāna path? It will be, the answer is, it would be whenever you generate bodhicitta, then you can help others, then you are on the Mahāyāna path. Without bodhicitta, even if we do something for others, it would be superficial. So there's no other dharma to be studied like bodhicitta. There is no other dharma to be contemplated upon like bodhicitta. There is no other dharma meditate on like bodhicitta. Okay, that is the first Shantideva was the example. Bodhicitta is like, with bodhicitta, whatever you do is like wish fulfilling tree. Without bodhicitta, whatever you do, it's like kela tree. Now the next stanza is Dikpa Shundamabzihinayang, Walatini, Jikpa Chimbotar, Konlatini Yijidornjerva, Telavachinamji Chimaptin. The root text says, just as one is liberated from great fear by relying on the brave, likewise, even if you have committed the most unbearable negative deeds, by rely on bodhicitta, you will be instantly liberated. Those of you who are careful, why not rely on this? That's the root text. So this is the fourth, right? Fourth example of bodhicitta that Shantideva gives here is, it's like rely on a brave person, fearless, kind of a very powerful person, someone who can protect you, basically, and free you whenever there is a great danger. There is no reason to not rely on this person who is available and who is capable to protect you from this great danger. Because then you don't need to sort of fear anything, right? Similarly, that's the example. Similarly, if you have, Shantideva says here, like committed extremely unbearable negative actions, such as, you took refuge vows and then harmed the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, as well as when you received all the most secret teachings and receive the abhishikas, the empowerment of Vajrayana, right? Receive all of that, and then you break all the commitments, which is samaya vows, by doing these things. And then you will certainly, be a very negative person, right? So if once, for example, done that kind of negative actions and break all the commitments and samaya vows, but if you rely on this powerful, precious bodhicitta that is available, right? And you will be freed from all these negative actions and suffering. And you will certainly be liberated. And that is really powerful. This is Buddha Shakyamuni. Basically, I will explain you, but someone who has done like that kind of negative, break the samayas and all of that, but then you start to practice bodhicitta and rely on, you develop bodhicitta, then you will certainly be liberated. So if that is the case, why don't you rely on bodhicitta when you are afraid of all these negativities and suffering, when you want to sort of overcome all the suffering of samsara? Why not rely on bodhicitta? We know this, right? We know this samsara suffering. Of course, we know that mentally, physically. But if we rely on bodhicitta, you can see, you can sort of help others. You can overcome all the sufferings of samsara. Why not then, rely on bodhicitta? As ordinary people, we have to examine ourselves. How many times have we committed negative actions based on selfish mind? How many times have we harmed others? Physically, mentally, based on the selfish sort of speech and mind, your thoughts. If you have done all these negative actions, bodhicitta is the best antidote. With an ability to care for others and ourselves. So why Shantideva say, not rely on bodhicitta. I think, therefore, our main practice should be meditating on bodhicitta. Whatever practice we do, such as, taking refuge, visualizations, recitations of, bodhisattva, practice in guru yoga, and all that we do should be with bodhicitta. Because bodhicitta makes every single action of our daily life as beneficial as it can possibly be. So we don't worry any sort of if we practice bodhicitta, But, we don't sort of spend enough time thinking clearly about what is most important in our lives, in our day-to-day life. No matter who we are, we need to have a good heart. And bodhicitta is the only thing that can change our actions. So why don't we keep bodhicitta as our the most precious possessions? Why don't we try to remember bodhicitta constantly and practice it like frequently? As you know, many people just believe that especially like Asian people receive long life empowerment. They just believe that when you receive long life empowerment, help them sort of, not get sick and help them have a long life. People also believe that they can sort of subdue or conquer their enemy through sort of this wrathful deities mantras, through the track of sort of this black magic we have, people, recite, how do I say, like when you want to become a wealthy, people recite, this prosperity sort of ritual or chant sort of, how do I say, gathering of good fortune mantra for become rich and so on and so forth. But none of this work. Without sort of take care of your mind. You don't have to do anything. Somebody gave you like a person who sit on a very high throne, and then they give you like this empowerment, long life empowerment, good fortune empowerment, so that you become rich. You don't have to do anything. That is like almost, if you don't know how to practice these things, that is almost like you believe the creator of the world. What is different? Or God created these things. I believe that. What is different? Like, I received this deity's long life empowerment so that I have a long life. It's almost same to me. You believe that somebody will give you a long life, right? Make you rich. No. That's not going to happen. I mean, if, for example, like long life empowerment, I'm not sort of like against, this Buddhist Vajrayana's empowerment, but in order to receive that and benefit, the both teacher and student need qualities. There's causes and conditions, and how to all of that, then it will help, but otherwise, nothing. The source of happiness, if you really want a happy life and meaningful life, the source of happiness for everyone is bodhicitta. I mean, I can see that. Bodhicitta makes you happy. Definitely, if you practice bodhicitta, it makes you happy. I know that. You know that, probably. And then when you are happy, you have good and long life. Bodhicitta, if you practice bodhicitta, I guarantee you, it's better than receive long life empowerment, because bodhicitta makes you mentally, physically happy. You have all this like body's consciousness, your mind consciousness, all when they are happy, they are, healthy, then you have long life. And bodhicitta is like, precious jewel. When you have this precious jewel in your own mind, on your own hand, right? It is your own good fortune. You don't need anything other than that. So why don't we keep this good fortune? You don't need good fortune sort of empowerment. This is really precious jewel. So we should investigate and see whether we do or do not have bodhicitta, the essence of life. If we do not have it, then now it is time to think carefully and make a commitment to develop it through practice the way of bodhisattva and try to practice and put into daily life. It's time to focus on practice bodhicitta if you don't have it. If you have it, it's time to increase more, make stronger. And if you have this, precious bodhicitta, you will be justified no matter what you are doing. We all really want to achieve happiness, right? And good life. And eventually, we all want to attain liberation, enlightenment. So bodhicitta certainly makes, that happen to us. Temporarily, bodhicitta makes us happy. Eventually, bodhicitta helps us to reach enlightenment. But according to Mahāyāna teachings, without bodhicitta, we cannot even enter the Mahāyāna path, right? If that is the case, then how will we attain enlightenment without even like entering the path, the Mahāyāna path? So therefore, it is time to develop bodhicitta and to understand the essentials of bodhicitta and in order to generate and increase the bodhicitta, we really need to listen the teachings about bodhicitta. We need to read the teachings about bodhicitta, such as the way of bodhisattva. We need to follow the bodhisattvas, like Shantideva, Rinpoche, etc. And we really need to associate with someone has bodhicitta mind. We need to rely on Mahāyāna spiritual friends who has bodhicitta mind, because then these are very important for beginners, who want to develop bodhicitta. We should not associate with someone who, doesn't care bodhicitta, someone who, don't practice bodhicitta. That kind of we should not associate with that kind of people. Otherwise, you're never ever going to develop bodhicitta. It's so important, spend and associate with someone who really cares about bodhicitta and always practice bodhicitta, because it will help. They will help you also increase your sort of bodhicitta. Those are so important. Keep that in mind. So these sort of conditions, when we say jin, it means conditions, will definitely help you to generate bodhicitta. Definitely you will increase, you will understand the benefit of bodhicitta more and more. Then you will do it. The more you sort of fully understand and practice bodhicitta, the less you will fear the difficulties of life, and usually ordinary people with no knowledge of bodhicitta always experience difficulties and hardships in their lives without knowing how to handle those difficulties. I investigate those things. That's why I trust bodhicitta, because the ordinary people who have no, understand, no knowledge of bodhicitta, then they don't know actually how to handle those difficulties when they experience this difficulty. And with the good experience bodhicitta, then negative situations will have less power to influence them. And with a good experience of bodhicitta, you will act as a spiritual practitioner. And with a good experience of bodhicitta, whatever activity you perform, it is all virtuous and beneficial. And more importantly, at the very moment when you are, for example, when your anger, desire, or jealousy, whatever arise, at that time, try to apply these stanzas, okay? The benefit of bodhicitta, about all this Shantidevas, this stanzas. It's really save us from this kind of difficulties, when you get angry, when you become very selfish, when you get jealous. At that time, you can recite sort of these stanzas. So important. Because if you do that, the stanzas, they can make you sort of relax and calm down, and help you how to handle that situation. That's why you have to study the way of Bodhisattva, so that whenever you need, you remember it. And then it helps you, reduce your jealousy, you reduce your anger, all that. Okay? And now the next stanza. Then timti mevian dikchinam, kajiki gnibert akprahit, they pine pug the mepat shamgun lodang dambi norzang. Shantideva says, just like the fire at the end of time, great evil deeds are suddenly consumed by bodhicitta. The wise Lord Maitreya taught its immeasurable benefits to Siddhamana Norzam. Okay, that's the root text. Now, this is the fifth knowledge or example of bodhicitta that Shantideva gives here. So Shantideva says that if we have developed the awakening mind, the bodhicitta, then immediately all negative deeds we have accumulated will be eliminated. Just as by the fire at the end of the time that will destroy the whole world and burns everything without leaving a single grass. Okay? As soon as you develop bodhicitta, immediately all your negative, virtues, we accumulated, eliminated, will be, eliminated. Why can bodhicitta purifies negative karma just like fire can burn everything? Why? There's a reason, because we accumulate negative karma through negative emotions, right? Afflictions. Negative emotions, afflictions, and bodhicitta, you can think about it. For example, anger, jealousy. And bodhicitta are opposite. For instance, anger and bodhicitta have contradictory ways of seeing the same object. So that means if there is a bodhicitta, there is no room for anger. So the more you generate bodhicitta, the less negative emotions you have, because they're contradictory. They can't arise together at the same time. So therefore, bodhicitta can purify negative karma, just like fire burns everything. If you act with bodhicitta, people will respect you and be kind, right? If you act with anger, people will harm you in any way they can. Because of that, you will lose your own happiness. When you get angry, you increase your anger, then you are going to lose your happiness. And then slowly your harmful actions will increase. That is negative mind. And bodhicitta can change that negative mind. That's what I mean by when I say, bodhicitta makes you happy. Anger makes you suffering, right? That's obvious. Anger and bodhicitta are totally opposite. So therefore, bodhicitta is just like the fire that burns the whole world. So the bodhicitta will burn or eliminate the whole negative emotions, thoughts. So why would we not rely on this precious bodhicitta? The whole purpose of your practice of meditation is to help you in your daily life when dealing with others to not harm, but benefit them. So if you understand these things deeply, then I think it is easy to act with a kind mind. So, Shantideva encourages us to investigate and try to understand the reality of our own being. And I think all Shantideva really wanted was for us to understand the benefit of bodhicitta. That's why he just started the first chapter, the way of bodhisattva. All this chapter, everything is about benefit of bodhicitta. We're not done yet, right? But we are. So if you understand the benefit of bodhicitta, then you will practice, and then you will have meaningful life. So without bodhicitta, then we are going to continue sort of having a negative experience. Such as, anger, self-jealousy, etc. So we need to be careful as a Mahāyāna practitioner. We have to understand what is the essence, what is the most important to develop in this very lifetime. We usually think that we are a Mahāyāna practitioners, because, we received the teachings of Mahāyāna. We read some, books about, Mahāyāna. But that doesn't mean we are Mahāyānist. If there is no bodhicitta in our mind, doesn't matter. Yet still we think ourselves Mahāyānist, right? That is like not having any money in the bank, yet thinking we are the richest person in the world. We have no bodhicitta mind, and then we think we are the Mahāyānist, practitioners. So whether you are Mahāyāna practitioner or not depends on bodhicitta. So the practice bodhicitta becomes very important and in our daily life. And then in this stanza, one more thing, it says the wise Lord Maitreya taught its immeasurable benefit to Sahadana. So the text mentions 5 examples, right? This is the last example of bodhicitta. The 5 here in the way of bodhisattva, Shantideva mentioned 5 examples, but there are actually many other examples as well. This teaching is basically about the collection of teachings on the benefit of bodhicitta taught by Buddha, right? Because remember, at the beginning, Shantideva said that, there is nothing here that has not been explained in the sutras by Buddha. Do you remember that? But he said, I wrote this text in order to cultivate bodhicitta within my own mind. So basically, Shantideva is saying that, all these teachings of bodhicitta are from the Buddha. And Shantideva continues saying that, there are other examples in the sutras. And one in particular is the sutra called Dongbo Jambando in Tibetan. In Sanskrit, Gandeviha Sutra. So in this sutra, there are more than, I think, 200 examples of the benefit of bodhicitta. I read it when I was in Tibet, this sutra. Everything is about bodhicitta. And this sutra, of course, from, Bodhisattva. And actually, basically, Shantideva collect all this benefit of bodhicitta from the sutra. That's why he says, there's nothing here that has not been explained in the sutra by Buddha. So if you want to understand more the examples of bodhicitta, you can read this sutra. And, little bit like it says, this sutra, bodhicitta is like, a seed which gives birth to all the qualities of a Buddha. A bodhicitta is like earth because it supports the whole world, and so on and so forth. It's continue, keep going and going, all this, like more than 200 examples of the benefit of bodhicitta, Bodhisattva taught in this sutra, okay? According to Khenpo Sherab's commentary, among the benefits of bodhicitta, there are 3 that are the most important. The first, bodhicitta leads to the attainment of enlightenment, right? Second, bodhicitta increase positive and virtues more and stronger. And the third, bodhicitta purifies the negative karma, negative deeds, negative, all this emotions and afflictions. Okay, so those 3 kind of I summarize for you so that you can think about, and practice more. And let me see. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here today's teaching. So we'll finish the benefit of bodhicitta. Shantideva gives us, 5 different examples so that we can easy to understand the benefit of bodhicitta, okay? Now, of course, meditate on bodhicitta. When you choose practice meditate on bodhicitta, you need to do like this. Like, whatever analytical or rest and meditation. When you have time, you sit down. This is not complicated. You sit down. You don't create any sort of different kinds of visualizations. You just sit down and watching your, the first, what I do is sit down and watching your breath, It makes you a little bit relaxed, right? And after a few seconds, you watch your breath, few seconds, or 1 minute, whatever. And when your thoughts will have calm, then, according to Papu Rinpoche, as I mentioned last time, we need to practice bodhicitta based on the realization that all other beings have an equal right to be happy and to overcome suffering. So when you practice bodhicitta, you need the foundation. This is the foundation. So you need to choose sort of the situation of a person or yourself, right? Or your family or your society, whatever. You choose the situation of that object. So this will be the object of your contemplation, right? Whether yourself or maybe this is easier, like how much, negative thoughts and you have in your daily life. And so you can choose yourself or you can choose any other one. So you have to contemplate, right? So you need to think whether yourself or others. So whatever this being, like your own life, okay? And this way you will understand, Papu Rinpoche says, you will understand all are equal. Otherwise, we always think I'm more important than you, than he, and others. That's what we call selfish mind. As you are meditating on this kind of object, these beings, then the Kardamba instructions, the masters give us instructions, is you need to put yourself in their place and taking your own life as an example for these beings. Exchanging. Sometimes they call it exchanging meditation. This exchanging meditation based on the recognition of all other beings have an equal right to have a happy life and no suffering. That's very, very important, okay? For example, if you don't want to eat meat, and then you visualize yourself as a cow, whatever, and then you visualize in detail, like how they slaughtered, killed the cows, and then how they sell, what are those motivations, the suffering of process of this, the cow's life until dies, so you have to sort of really, visualize that you put yourself in their place, and then you can visualize this. You will understand the suffering of that, So that's really good instructions. So then, you sit with this kind of thought until you deeply experience everybody is equal in your mind. Yeah, we all same. I don't want suffering. They don't want suffering. Why I harm others? All that kind of thing. And when you have a deep sort of feelings or strong experience of this kind of, I would say, equanimity of bodhicitta through your analytical meditation, contemplation, right? Then just try to maintain on that and try to bring that into your daily life, right? Because it's easy to understand now, like, okay, now let's say your meditation, the time is done, and you do whatever you're in your daily life, but you have to bring that meditation into your daily life. That's what I mean by what I mean. You try to maintain on that deep sort of feelings and experience of this equanimity of bodhicitta. You maintain that, not only the meditation time, but you try to bring that into your daily life. That's so important. That prevent you to cause harm others, and you feel like you are not the most important person in the world, so that your arrogance, selfish, whatever you call selfishness, will slowly reduce. Less and less you will see that. Then as soon as you lose those kind of strength, of your arrogance, selfishness, then automatically increase your love, compassion, harmony, all that kind of things. Otherwise, you listen the teachings about bodhicitta, and then few minutes you meditate, and then you just kind of forget it, and then you just go back to your ordinary life. What is the point? So the more some people don't believe, arrogance, selfishness is so important, then that makes me happy. But that's really, it's a delusion. It's misunderstanding, The more, the less selfishness and arrogance you have, the more happiness will increase. That's just what it is. So you understand? So if you do that right now, you just, this is the contemplation, analytical meditation. So you develop this kind of really deep experience in your heart, and then you bring that into your daily life. Then you are able to see that slowly reduce the harmful actions between yourself and others. That's how you develop bodhicitta. So practice, this exercise, this method many times. you know, on the same people or different sort of beings or whatever, then you will start develop your capacity to open your mind when you get sort of what do you call difficult circumstances, and you will. This equanimity of bodhicitta is so important. That's why Papa Rinpoche always end on Khenpo Kumpa's commentary. And then there is also like the, what do they call it? The guide to the words of my perfect teacher. They always talk this first. Equanimity is the foundation of bodhicitta practice. So we have to first develop this foundation. And then once we have this equalness, right, then we can develop love, compassion, right? Then the love and compassion become very genuine. Because without this equanimity, then your love maybe, you take your side, it's not equal. You don't have, there's no way to develop equal, sort of the genuine love without understand realization of this equal, what do you call it? Equalness, okay? So today we're going to use sort of, I think, two methods, two exercise or whatever two methods for the meditation, okay? The first is, as I said, thinking about everybody is equal. So you considering others as equal to yourself. That's first method. So good detail, like, understand you have to like think more about the equanimity. And then the other method is, of course, thinking about suffering of other beings, suffering of yourself. That's another method for this meditation. So you should use that method, okay? So then we're going to meditate on the equanimity of bodhicitta for 5 minutes. Watch your thoughts, right? Watch your thoughts. What kind of thoughts in your head right now at this moment? And then correct motivation, and then just a few seconds or minute just to focus on, just to relax, your breath, gently breathe in and out, gently, slowly. Your breath, your channels, your body, these are related, interconnected each other. So once you really gently focus on your breath, that makes your mind sort of more relaxed and calm. And then after that, when you feel like your mind is not like this, then you can see the relaxation, right? Then you can start meditate on bodhicitta, the equanimity of bodhicitta, as I explained just a minute ago. And then once you really understand, or you feel, or you experience deeply, this sort of equalness, and understand the suffering of others that, and we harm, right? Human beings harm others and each other. When you really you have this recognition in your mind, then you just try to maintain on that meditation. And then when you're going to, of course, you're going to lose, your other thoughts will arise. And then just to relax, and relax a few seconds on your breath. And then start again, think about the equanimity, and then try to maintain on that. And then when you're done meditation, bring that into that, bring that recognition, that experience, that feeling, into your daily life, so that it helps you. No anger, no arrogance, no jealous, all that. So that's all. Let you meditate for 10 minutes.